Welcome to Garner Growth. Welcome to Garner Growth. What's up, fam? Welcome to Garner Growth. I'm your host, Courtney Garner, and today we're going to talk about addiction to spirituality, specifically tarot and horoscope. And so I might trigger some people with this because you might be a content creator around tarot and horoscope, but don't take it personally. This is more about overconsumption of things, dependency on outside validation, and not so much on the actual art form or the practice of what's happening. And today we're going to get into talking about addictive behaviors around things that are not the typical substances: alcohol, drugs, porn, things like that, food. Instead, we'll talk about things that you would assume are good, which they are good, but anything that's good can become bad when you have too much of it, right? Too much of a good thing can be bad. So what happens when we are addicted to something? There are actually 5 components to addiction. Sometimes more, depends on who you talk to. But we're going to talk about the main universal things to look for when it comes to classifying something as an addiction. And you might find that something you didn't think of as an addiction before might actually be an addiction. So when you have an addiction, one of the main components is your reward system is hijacked. The reward system is the seeking the dopamine. We talked about that in the last episode. So that reward system of when the reward system is hijacked, you're not only seeking this thing, but you're seeking it to your detriment. So simultaneously, your life, your health, your mental health, things are being negatively affected. But because you your craving for it is so bad, is so strong, it overrides your good sense. It overrides your protection of yourself. It overrides Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which puts at the foundation of it your basic needs: shelter, food, safety, things like that. You will sacrifice all that when you have an addiction. That's what makes it so hard on families, because you're watching this person just like throw caution to the wind and like reject all things that usually would make sense, and also seemingly not caring what you go through as somebody that's close to them, because they're not connected to that kind of reality. They're not connected to that sense, to that common sense of taking care of yourself and your basic needs. So once that goes and you're addicted to something, that's when it becomes really dangerous. And then another thing is with the reward system, you feel dull without that substance. You feel like life is not as vibrant, alive. And you can also lose the will to want to live without that substance. It's like, what's the point? Like life with it is like where it's at. So that's when your reward system has been hijacked. Number 2 is tolerance. Your tolerance is affected because the same amount, when you started doing this thing, the same amount does not satisfy you. And let's talk about an addiction that is a non-substance: phones, right? I can't even talk about when phones first came out, but it wasn't, I had a candy bar phone. So that's how old I am. It was a prepaid phone. And I remember you got like 30 credits on it, and them credits went fast. So we were like, call me after 9, text me after 9. Some of y'all don't remember that. You weren't alive for it. But when we first had phones, it was like a new toy, right? But we weren't in class distracted from learning because of it. Especially when you had like these limits on it, like you weren't even able to, you really had to pay for all them texts. So it wasn't the same, it wasn't as accessible to have so much engagement with it. Whereas now it's like unlimited engagement, right? Without any financial consequences. Usually you have unlimited plans. Your threshold for pleasure grows. Now, instead of enjoying your after school conversations or your after work conversations, you want to be on that thing all the time. You wake up and think about it. When you're eating, your habit of eating is connected to being on your phone. Your habit of getting pleasure is connected to the phone. Your habit of getting validation is connected to your phone. Being seen is connected to the phones, right? So the threshold has increased to where now you need more and more of that consumption. And the same thing with social media. So let's talk about the third one. The third one is withdrawal symptoms. Withdrawal symptoms meaning you've stopped or you have not had the substance for a certain amount of time and your body is reacting. Your body could react in stress, it could react in agitation. That's usually a popular one for any substance, and especially the non-substance addictions where you're not consuming a thing, but it's consuming like content. What happens if you take a break off of social media? You will start to notice that you're having these automatic habits of wanting to go look, wanting to go seek and see what's happening, FOMO, and you're automatically distracted from other things because you're just like, you want to get that fix. So withdrawal symptoms after not having the substance, and then cravings. So let's say that you do get past the withdrawal symptoms where it's not so bad, but you have these cravings for it like randomly. And that's when it's part of your automatic thinking where it's like you didn't even say like, let me go look at my phone, but your hand just reaches for it. Like you just like without even thinking, and now the thing is in your hand and you're actually like scrolling and looking at stuff and you can't remember the initial cue of like what made you go get it. It's just there now. And so that is another sign. The fifth one is a loss of control. So the loss of control is like I was saying before, where this thing could be ruining your whole life, in your relationships, your work ethic, your creativity, and you don't have control over it. You can't stop it. Just because you see the results, the negative results of it, doesn't mean you can just stop it. And that means you've lost control. Because if we have control, that means we can make the decision that really makes sense to us and that is in our best interest to say, okay, this is not good for me. It's not doing, you know, what I want it to do or what it should do. Then let me stop. When you lose that ability to stop when you want, then it's an addiction. And so when I talk about those 5 components of addiction, which would be reward system is being hijacked, your tolerance threshold goes up, you have withdrawals when you stop, you have cravings, and then you lose control over whether to say yes or no. Now we relate that to consuming tarot readings and horoscope readings. This usually comes for people when they're in a point of being lost, when they're desperate for answers, when they're really going through some shit. And you just want like some comfort. You want some guidance. And it goes from that, just wanting some comfort, guidance, to you haven't really even digested the content that you've taken in order to get comfort and guidance. Now you're just going back to consume some more and to consume some more. And even beyond trying to meet that really legitimate need, right? Needing comfort, needing guidance, needing advice is a really legitimate need. You go from that to now just using it as a distraction, a procrastination to actually doing the actual inner work. And that's when it becomes overconsumption and addiction, too much of a good thing. And then you have on like the reality side, you have people who create this content knowing damn well that's how it works. Like they know people are addicted to this stuff. And I see that a lot because I've been through this myself. I've seen that a lot where certain signs, let's say it's a Sagittarius, right? Certain signs, they know that these signs are romantic or this is the characteristic or the classification. And when you get the repetition of that, then it becomes a belief. So now all Sagittarians believe that they are just hopeless romantics that get into these toxic, chaotic relationships and just fly from one to the other. And you take on these narratives that are not true. They're not yours. You've just adopted them because they sound like they know what they're doing. They give you an answer to some answer that you didn't have. They soothe your curiosity or your feeling of being lost or not knowing yourself. And so you get these answers that seem like they give you a good solid grounding to lead your life on, to judge people on, to make decisions on, and to also decide your relationships. And now you feel like you got more answers than you did before. Like it feels good to have some answers, right? It feels a lot better than being so uncertain, insecure about things. The need to soothe insecurity is really where a lot of the addiction comes from. And one example is this is like you go through a point in your life where you're at a place of being lost. You don't know your purpose, or you maybe want to change your job, or you're in a relationship, you don't know if it's right, you can go and click on any of these readings, and or even call somebody, and they will give you a narrative that you will cling to and say, yes, that sounds like that's right. Yeah, that's what I'm going through. And all it takes is being relatable. Just relate to this person, be able to relate to their situation. And it's so easy to fall into alignment with that idea or that belief of this is what you're going through and this is what that other person is thinking and doing. Mind you, like, this is without any communication with the other person. But before you even do that, you already have a whole judgment. You meet a Scorpio. Scorpios are said to not be compatible with, I don't know, a Taurus. I'm just really making this up. Say Scorpio and Taurus it's not meant to be, they're said to not be compatible. So you meet this person who is a Scorpio. You don't even really listen to them or take them seriously because they're a Scorpio. They're going to bite you in the ass and they're going to do all these things. And, I'm an earth sign. We don't go well together. So you haven't really given this relationship a chance. You haven't given that person a chance. You've already prejudged them. Meanwhile, who likes to be prejudged? Who likes people to think that they have a whole story on them before you're getting to know them? So we're skipping over what really matters to us is connection. We really want connection. We want it so bad. So one thing that tarot and horoscope gives us is a sense of connection, because now we can go into our little cliques, our clubs, right? I can join all the other Sages and we can kiki and talk about things that, are relatable to our sign. And then we can also be like, no, I don't fuck with Capricorns, because Capricorns are, you know, the sign right after me, and we just don't get along, very compatible, and they think they know everything. And these honestly are things that I thought before. So I'm talking to you from a place of like experience. And not that I disprove everything with the tarot. I'm gonna give you my idea of what I believe that really is for us later on in a bit. But these are just examples of how we want to connect, and we want belonging, we want community, and we get it by joining the zodiac cliques. But at the same time, we are in cliques. We are also separating. We're separating even probably more than we are connecting. We might be missing opportunities for healthy relationships, and we might be ruining some potentially good relationships based off of our perception of what that person is, who they are, how they're going to react, how I should react based off our signs. So I want to talk about too, like, how is the zodiac created? Because this is something that really affects people's lives, and we take it as like a big ass hand came down from heaven and just wrote it on a stone tablet and was like, here you go. Like, it's the people in the spiritual community who have maybe veered away from traditional religion, who come out of the church. We disproved, or not disproved, but dropped that belief that God is a big white man in the sky, or even a big person in the sky, to, okay, being more open, expanded of our idea of God. But then we go into things like this and we latch on to another belief system that is clearly also created by humans, and we take it as religion. You literally use it as religion. Get people around talking about horoscope is going to sound like gossip, like judgment. It's going to sound like people who deep beliefs, deeply seated beliefs. And it's almost like instead of quoting the Bible, you're quoting the tarot card, you're quoting the Ace of Wands, or you're quoting, I'm trying to think of card names right now. Obviously, I'm not that good at it. But the zodiac it comes from historically Babylonian times, Chaldean times. So this is like first millennium BC. So it's very old history, but it was also the first tarot card was created to entertain French royalty. This was something like fortune tellers, the royalty, they want insight. They want to feel like they're in the knowing. They know something that other people don't. That's humanness. That's us. We like to know, we like to feel like we know things. We have inside information that other people don't. And what I see it as is a guidance system, because it is mathematical. Math makes sense, right? Numbers make sense. And you can create a system with math. As long as the maths, then you can make predictable patterns, or you can make equations that are going to give you those predictable patterns. And it's based off math. When I look at the zodiac is a system that's created to show a correlation between people's characteristics based off the time of the year they're born, the season, the region, and based on those factors, you're going to have certain tendencies in personality. You're going to have certain characteristics, perhaps. But what I don't see is how that system, which is a legit system, right? How it now becomes a judgment system for compatibility of people. Because the thing is, people change throughout your lifetime. You might resonate with the textbook of your zodiac at one point, and then you go through something, you react to life, and now you don't. Now you're over here feeling like a Cancer, you're feeling like something else. And so how solid is it if it changes? If it depends on where you're at in life, how your mindset is, what you're going through, and the fact that we literally evolve our entire life. And that also there's people who you'll say, okay, you are creative, sexual, flighty. Okay, you're this sign, you're a fire sign. And this person over here is Scorpio. It sounds like the same thing to me, like it sounds like the same thing. And so to me, it's not so solid. It really is very flexible, fluid. And because of that fluidity of how people change and grow throughout their lifetime, I can't base my relationships and judging people off of this system. But I'm gonna tell you what I do with it. I have used it in the past. Right now, right now, I have definitely veered away from watching tarot readings, which I used to watch them all the time. And I've gone through the phase of being addicted to them, where I'm just watching them 3 times a day, or just watching them over and over. And then I'll just go back into my day and jump back into whatever the hell I was doing, not really stopping to do the internal work, not really stopping to seek the answers within myself, to pray and meditate on the answers that I feel like I really need. Instead, I'm like, oh, you gave me a narrative, you gave me some answers, I'm gonna run with that. This person is that, I am this. And you just put those judgments on your situation, when in fact that person, the reader, has never talked to you, never seen you, doesn't know anything about you. And they usually will tell you these are it's a general reading. So take what resonates and leave what doesn't. It's very common, right? But when you're in a state of being lost and seeking answers, you don't listen to that part. No, no, you take what you need. You don't take what resonates. You take the answers that you need. And that's on you. It's not on the person giving the reading. It's on you and your responsibility to take ownership for your situation. Take ownership for deep diving into your own sense of being lost or needing answers. You got to find your own answers. And when you get dependent on others, especially in a very impersonal social media space, when you get dependent on others to give you answers to things that are happening very personal to you and within you, then that's you squandering your accountability and your ownership of your journey. And what you'll find is that you might become stagnant, that you didn't get the answers you needed, that you stay spiraling in this vortex of confusion, or stay in relationship that is just like, you know, pulling you down, because you heard in the tarot reading that it was you, that you were being resistant, and that this person was here to help you and a be a guide to you. And so you wanted to hear that, because in reality, you didn't want to let go of something that you knew was not good for you, because you still were just very attached to that person. And instead of taking ownership, what you did was you took what was going to support you, taking the easy way out, which is really not the easy way out, right? You're going to take what allows you to keep you in your bullshit. Like, I'm trying to find a better way to say it, but that's what happens. You are going to take what allows you to stay in your bullshit if you're not ready to give it up, if you're not ready for the change. And that is, that's your responsibility. So that's the talk I have with myself. And mind you, there are studies where they have studied bigger groups of people and compared them to their zodiac signs and their tendencies and personalities. And it showed that there was no correlation. And we don't really need studies to show that. because we can just see, like, okay, just like all spiritual belief systems and religions, which are also belief systems, we choose what resonates with us. And if it doesn't resonate, usually you will abandon that, adopt something else. Even if you're an atheist, that is a belief system. So we choose what works for us. And to be in this delusion that, just because it's spiritual and it's not a legit religion, that it can't be something that's harmful, then, or that it's better than the religion, to me, that's just, it's just not right, Doesn't make sense. But we love predictability. We love having answers. We love knowing. It feels so insecure, so unsafe, to have that uncertainty. And tarot and horoscope gives us a sense of knowing, gives us a sense of having the right answers and a direction to go in. People want to be guided. People want to be told what to do. And that is what they get out of these readings. And I used to go get psychic readings. Not very often because like I'm too cheap for that, but I would go and when I really, really needed it. And all I needed her to do was tell me something I already knew. Like, come on, auntie, just tell me what I already know I need to do, or give me some clarity around the confusion that I have that I am not willing to go deeper to become more clear about. I just need you to clear the clouds for me, please. And also make me feel seen. I want to feel seen for my struggles. I want to get out of them, you know? I want you to help me move along. And that's why I was going to those things. And also why I stopped going, because I knew that what I was getting from them, I could do for myself now. Or I can go get it from a book. I can go get it from free content, you know? So I knew that going to the psychic after going so many times, I was like, you know what? You're not really telling me nothing different. Like, this is not blowing my mind. I also did some training with a psychic before. I had a friend who he passed away like 4 years ago, but he was a trained psychic, and he was a psychic that trained people to develop their psychic abilities, which I believe is very natural. I get it all the time, like premonitions, seeing things before they happen. When you meditate and develop your mind, those things are natural, like being able to communicate from a distance, synchronicity. All those things are real and they're very human. But the way that we live in the society, we just get distracted from it. So I worked with him, and basically we just did a lot of meditations and visualizations, and you learn to trust and develop your connection to your intuition, and you develop your insight, your ability to see within. And that's something that we can all do. So I know that to me, it's not a mystical power. I do believe maybe there are people with gifts that it's a different level than just what you get when you develop your mind and get rid of all the static. But that's not me. That's not me. And I can't, like, sit and claim to be that person. And then the other thing, too, I wasn't going to mention this in this episode, but I might as well. Channelers. Channeling is a huge thing on the internet now. And one thing I've noticed, because I have watched a lot of the videos, is that channelers don't be saying nothing too crazy. Usually it's something that you've heard from other self-help books, from other spiritual leaders, from history. It's very sound, good advice. It's comforting, but it's nothing that is outer worldly. If you're channeling an alien, an extraterrestrial, why don't they know anything different than us? Like, why are you not telling me something that's like mind blowing? And then if you are, like, let's say you're talking about, a different planet and stuff, I need to see some evidence. Like, I just need receipts. And until I see some kind of receipts, I'm not going to allow it to cloud my mental real estate. Like, I'd rather cloud my mind with what I know I can do, what I feel empowered to do and practice and develop, within my capabilities, versus the sci-fi fantasy world of what it seems like channelers come from. And I love sci-fi. It's like sci-fi is my jam. I guess it's part of my therapy. But to channel and say that you're channeling an alien and you have this message for the world, And it's not that special. I'm sorry. Like, that's the best way I can say it. So let me know what y'all think. If you believe that there are channelers out there that are very legit, point me in that direction. Let me know. Someone that has blown your mind, um, let me know, because I really feel like, just like the other um, spiritual teachers, a lot of times they are just giving advice. They're guiding the lost. They are giving answers to those that are seeking answers. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm just not impressed. That's all I gotta say. But send them my way. If I'm wrong, I'm happy to be. This would be something that I would love to be wrong about. Please send them my way. As somebody who has used tarot in the past and horoscope, I can tell you how I've used them. That has been really helpful to me. So I'm not saying they're useless. What I'm saying is, just do not base your whole life and your decisions off of them. But journal prompts. When you're getting a reading and it's saying, okay, there's a death card and there might be something that you need to let go. There's always something that you need to let go. Always. So you figure out, what is it that you're holding on to? Like, what are you attached to? Where are you not practicing non-attachment? Where if you did apply non-attachment, you'll be at ease. You'll be happier. What are you clinging to? Right? And so that's how I would use it. If you get what other cards do I know? Lover's card. Okay, so you get a lover's card. Really popular one, because people know that people love love and people are seeking love. So that one's going to get you a lot of engagement, a lot of views. So if you get the love card, okay, look at your relationships, look at your own sense of self-love. Use it as a way to reflect and deep dive on a specific area in your life or a specific pain point. And also, if it resonates, like, you can do a 3 spread, and the one that stands out for you is business, the money card. And you've been struggling financially. Then you can say, okay, this one has prompted me, this reading for myself has prompted me to look into my financial stability, what I need to do, what I might need to, like, take my attention away from and redirect my attention to, in order to build financial stability, or to go from, being an employee to an entrepreneur. If that resonates, okay? So journal prompts, deep dive inspirations, positive affirmations and motivations. So if you do get the lover's card and you really want to draw in a partner, instead of listening to this reading where they're telling you that the person in your life right now, they want you back, don't go back to that person. No, not unless it comes from you, right? Your own volition. But if you are unsure and you get a reading that says that person wants you back and you should go give them a try, then you're going to do that. And it might be a disaster, because you didn't even check in with yourself. You just took that answer and was like, yeah, that's easier than me trying to figure this shit out. So that's an advice I would say, is use it to self-reflect and to give yourself positive affirmations, to fill yourself up with love, so that whatever does draw into you, your perspective of it is coming from a person that loves themselves and is full. Because if you don't do that self-work part, and you go and you take that person back, or you give into the attention that they want you back, now you're coming from a place of a void, because now you're seeking, you're grasping for something. But if you take that card or that reading and you say, okay, love got you, lovers, I'm going to focus on really filling myself up with love, reminding myself why I am lovable, what I do love about myself, and really just embodying that, then I'm going to be attracted to and draw in connections that are resonating with that frequency of love, not the want and the desire and the grasping. Okay. And a good way to gauge what to do with yourself is to see if this advice or this information is leading you in a way of forward motion. Like, okay, this is moving me forward. I'm progressing. I'm growing out of this ditch. I'm getting out of this stagnation. Or am I now spiraling in, like, uncertainty? Or do I find myself back in the same bullshit again? Maybe I shouldn't have listened to that. Maybe I should have done the inner work and really got to the root of what's going on. And there's a lot of different readers out there. Some of them will encourage you to really get to the root and give you some advice on how to do that. And there's some that are like talking to your best friend, and it's like a whole kiki, and it's like gossip almost. So you really got to gauge who you talking to and who you're allowing to influence your spiritual journey, who you're allowing to influence your decisions, your judgments, and your relationships. Because at the end of the day, it's all about relationships. That's the most important thing to me and to everybody else. Even if you don't know it, relationships are the most important things. It's not money. It's not um, BBLs or whatever the hell it is. It's relationships. So some things that you want to avoid when listening to readings and horoscopes is you want to avoid listening to several of them in a row. Now you're binging. Why are you binging? What answers are you looking for that you want to get from external sources? Don't determine who to love and who to date based off of them, because there's thousands, millions of people that are in relationships with their incompatible signs, with their adjacent signs, which, those are technically compatible, but with their, immediately preceding sign, like those relationships exist and they're healthy, they're happy. So don't limit yourself based off of people's signs. Open yourself up actually into getting to know them, ask more questions. And this is a way to actually like encourage yourself to get out of your box and try something different, is learning people on a deeper level, no matter what your judgments are of their zodiac sign, and, you know, see if it works. And then if you have experience, because I've heard this last week, somebody said, I always something with Leos, and I just can't stand Leos, and they do this and they do that. And I was thinking like, maybe it's not the Leos, maybe it's you. What maybe it's your idea of them or your judgment of them that makes you put this blanket judgment on each man, and none of that shit's gonna work out because you're not even being open to knowing that person. You're perpetuating the same situation over and over again based off your own prejudice and your own judgment, not per se getting to know these people and having these experiences. So when you have repetitive experiences with different people, even if it is that these people are similar, the fact that those people are similar and giving you the same problems is not their problem, as yours, right? That's how it works. And oh, I didn't even do my thing. Like I went on a roll with this one. I didn't even do my sponsorship. Okay. So let's take a moment to shout out our sponsor, Green Body Wellness. Green Body makes all natural skincare and wellness products that are raw and natural ingredients, no water, no fragrances, no preservatives, no bullshit. And they are handmade. So check out greenbodywellness.com. You can order yours, always free shipping and always good for your skin. I just freestyle that one. How was it? I don't know. All right, so back to our show. We're going to close this up with a prompt. If you do not journal, then you should start. Because journaling, I'm gonna tell you why. I'm a journal evangelist, and I'm actually gonna leave after this recording and go buy a new one because I filled up my last journal. I had to journal a lot in these last few months. Like I've just relocated to Atlanta, and let me tell you, it's taken a lot of journaling. It's taken a lot of journaling to get through these things and to adapt. It is starting to feel like home. It is. Yeah, starting to feel like home. I'm meeting the right people. I love where I live, and it's nice. I like it. So for your journal prompt, I want you to think about the non-substance addictions that you might have, and specifically in like spiritual realm. So are there certain things that you consume a lot of? Like let's say it's tarot, let's say it's horoscope, let's say it's channeling, whatever it is. If it fits the bill, then I want you to really like write down what you think you're getting out of those things and what needs are being met. Sometimes it's a spiritual need because we do have a need for spiritual fulfillment, spiritual pleasure, spiritual connection. Many times we keep going to meet a need in the same way, but the need's not really getting met. And that's really what I want you to get out of that deep dive question is, how do you meet your spiritual needs? Are there some things that you are consuming that are not really hitting the spot? the basis of it is really to just not adjust. What is the word? To audit your consumption of what you're consuming, figure out what the base need is. The need could be, like I said, spiritual connection. It could be spiritual fulfillment. And fulfillment is anything that makes you feel full spiritually, like fed. Sometimes it is self-reflection, which people get from tarot, right? Sometimes it's meditation. Meditation allows you to go within yourself and reconnect with yourself, with the God in you. And when you do that, you come out feeling full, like you ate, no crumbs. So that is your self-care prompt this week. You can share in the comments if you want to. You can also share in the comments if you have some legit channelers or recommend, any readers that are just amazing and don't fit this bill of being just kind of creating these very surface readings for people to just consume because they're lost. Which I don't know. Can I even blame you? Because at the end of the day, like, this is a business and you've made a product that people want to consume. If it's that good, people want to keep consuming it. I get it. I'm not here for that. I'm here for you as the consumer. So I'm telling you to be mindful of what you're consuming, take care of yourself, and to take ownership of your journey and do the work. The work is going to give you the most fulfillment because you're not getting this instant gratification of an answer, of a narrative that you can latch onto and be like, yeah, I know what I'm doing now. Doing the work takes you through a process that actually is going to give you that legit fulfillment. And we've got 30 seconds left because the camera's overheating. Nikon Z30. Lead with love. And I'll see y'all on the next episode.
Like, subscribe, share the growth.
If you are not ready for the day, it cannot always be